everyone, it's Krista here with Blooms and Brushstrokes, and today we are doing part 2 of our multicolored sunflower. So I have started it in part 1 and we're just going to carry on doing part series until we are finished so that we can take it step by step, do it slowly so that everyone has the opportunity to be able to paint the sunflowers. So we are starting on number 2. I'm trying a bit of a different microphone because I find sometimes if I wear the microphone, my voice is already too loud and then it sometimes can be, the audio can be a bit weird. So I'm trying a bit of a new microphone. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're just going to continue on. So this is where we got to with our first, here's our buddy Tex. You can hear his bell. This is where we got to with our first part series of the sunflower. And we're just going to continue on with the sunflower. So we're just going to continue on putting down layers. We're putting down layers for the leaves, the petals, all that good stuff. So I decided to go with different colors this time because I've already painted a sunflower 2 times with the traditional yellow and orange. And I really wanted to do something a bit different. But like I said in part 1, if you want to do the yellows and oranges, it's the exact same technique, the layering, everything, just choose your colors differently. Like you can go multicolor or like different tones of yellows, different tones of oranges if you want to do that. So I know it's not the exact photo or the exact painting I did before, but you know what? I'm an artist and I can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I get bored. So without further ado, you guys, let's get on to part 2 of the sunflower now. So we're starting with our second layer throughout this whole picture here. And this is when we're going to start to really get in with some depth and dimension. So I'm going to use my number 8 round Aqua Elite heat brush here to go in with the second layer. So we're going to get water on the brush and then we're going to go into these leaves. And so what I'm going to want to do this time around is leave some of this light green out. Like I don't want to put any more paint over it because those are going to kind of be our highlight spots. So I'm going to go in and put water down just all around. You know, you want to get it in all the like little nooks and crannies here, but you want to leave, because we're going to be doing a little wet on wet, and we want to leave a bit of it. Oh, Texas. Oh, he wants to play now because, well, we came back from the ranch today and we had a big car ride. So now he's into it. He's had a nap and he's ready to rock. Okay, so I've got that down and I'm leaving kind of closer to the tip of the leaf without any water on it. So that's going to stay that light green color. So I've got my water down there and we're going to go in with some different colors of green. So we're still using the Mongallo paints, just the same as we were using in the very first part. So now I want to go in still with something pretty light. I think I'm going to go in with a bit of the olive green mixed with the green yellow. So I'm going to mix a bit of those two together. Because I want it to still be bright. Like I want to have a bit of contrast. Okay, so we're going to start to drop that color down in those little nooks and crannies where we put that water. And we don't need to necessarily get it everywhere. It doesn't need to necessarily be filling all of the green space. You just want to drop it down and let it bleed into this leaf shape and do its natural watercolor thing. So when you're layering, you definitely want to work lightest to darkest, always. Because once you go dark, you can't really layer up anything more and you're going to start to get a big mess going on. So again, as I say, when I'm always painting, like you don't have to stay in the lines. Like you don't have to be perfect. You know, that's kind of the beauty of the watercolor paint. And how I do it with the ink at the very end. It just, because I do kind of the really loose lines, it helps to Like, you don't have to be totally structured. It's not something, we're not doing a painting that is, you know, absolutely perfect as far as, you know, the shape and whatever else. We can be a little bit abstract when we're doing our painting because we're going to do that with our line. So you see how the top up here, I've left that white. So it's giving that illusion that there's like light on it, you know? Pardon me, you guys. So it's giving the illusion that there's light on it. So right now, while this is still wet, I do want to drop down a little bit of a darker color in the areas where there would be shadow, which, you know, we've got the petals. So there would be shadow in these green areas where, you know, the petals are over top kind of. So I'm going to go in now with a bit of a darker color. I'm going to go and I'm going to mix some of the olive green with the deep green. If you can see that. Olive green with the deep green. Just to make it, so we're going to get that little bit of a darker green going on, and we're going to drop that in there, just a little bit of it right now, and let that bleed into the rest of the leaf. So just like that, right where we want it to be dark. You can bring it up and around, you know, and kind of get it up in there. Ooh, I'm really loving how that's looking already. And we can just kind of move that around a bit so it's not just all staying in one place. I think that looks pretty great right now. I might even take a little bit of that going up there. I'm going to take a little bit of my brush and just smudge it a bit so it doesn't look totally perfect, but that's going to give our line there. And you know what? I really like how that's looking already. I don't even think I'm going to do too much more in regards to that at this moment. I think I'm just going to let that be. If anything, when it dries, we might want to add a little bit more depth in the shadowy areas, but you know what? I'm really loving that and I don't want to overwork it. That's one thing I'm going to say about watercolor painting. It's easy to overwork it and then totally lose what you're doing because you've created this really overworked painting. Less is more, I find, always. So we're going to go into our second leaf now. Ooh. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to drop that water down. So we're doing the wet on wet technique and we're just dropping clear water down. And we're going to leave this kind of area dry because we're going to have the light, you know, the illusion that there's light at that part. So again, we're going down into little nooks and crannies here. That's okay if these bleed together. That's totally fine. That's the beauty of the watercolor paint, that they look so good when they bloom and bleed together. And so I have a little lip of the petal curling over. So it is going to be darker under there because it's going to cast a shadow, right? So we're going to definitely add some water there. So we've got that nice and wet now. And now we're going to go in with the same thing we did on the other one with the green, yellow, and olive green mixed together. So green, yellow, and olive green mixed together. And then we're going to drop that in there. This might have a little bit of that dark green mixture into it. I'm not very, like, I don't care that they mixed together. Like I think that's the beauty of every painting. There's no specific formula for every color. It's just a little bit of everything. So you just have to get used to that with me, you guys. Like it's really challenging for me to even be constantly saying, okay, this is the color I'm using. This is the color. Because typically when I'm doing a painting, I'm just like boom, 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 like just doing it. So I have to really slow down. And I mean, that's the whole part of a tutorial. So I'm learning as I go, but oh, Tex, like you're doing so good over there eating your snacks. So yeah, no, don't lick the paint. Oh my gosh, you guys, he just stepped in the green paint. You little turkey, get out of here. Why are you driving me insane right now? Okay, and so we're going to go under here, drop that down. And we can rinse off our brush a bit and then just move that color around so it moves out. Yeah, sure, lay on that. That's fine. Yeah, so with a clean brush, you can just go move that color so it doesn't just stay in those little spots. That's the one thing with the Mangayo paints. I did see Christy Rice do a review at one time saying like they don't have a lot of like that blooming or whatever, and she's very correct on that. They don't, but I kind of like that it's not too intense because it gives me a little bit more control, I find. But you know, I think there's a time and a place for when we'd want something that does just go like poof into the water. So and the other colors, but for me, I'm okay with this, and you know, I'm an amateur artist, so I'm good with it. And I like affordable hobbies. Okay, so I just used a little bit more intense paint there on that one to go and drop that in, and I think I'll do the same with this one. Add a little bit of that dark green with the olive green. Same, just to add that shadowy look. But I'm not going to add too much because I like how that's just looking as it is. But I am going to add a bit for sure. So. Ooh, I love it already. It's looking really good, you guys. As you've noticed, I've left that little kind of lip where the petal is, or the leaf is flipped over, totally just that light green. You know, I could take a little bit of this light green, yellow, and olive green and just do maybe just a little bit of a line very subtly, just because it's still part of the leaf. But once everything's dry, we can go in with a little bit of color and kind of tweak that up. But that, we don't want it to be blending too much. We just kind of want it to be pretty subtle. So I think that looks really great, you guys, so far. And as you can see here, I've just totally like, and it's intentional. Like I've kind of jagged my lines a bit because a leaf has the jagged edges. Oh, you are going to put a footprint on this one, aren't you? You're such a little buddy. Why don't you just lay down? And then we can all be happy and paint this tutorial. Okay, so now we're going to go in with our... Oh, you're such a brat. We're going to go in with our second layer here in the center. Okay, so this is where we're going to get a little bit... You're a crazy cat. We're going to start doing a little bit of dabbing with the colors. So because we're using purple, we're going to do different colors of purple, different tones. So we first used straight purple and very diluted. Now we're going to go in and we're going to use just that purple again. My cat is sitting on the swatch. So we're going to use this purple, just the regular purple. Oh, you can see that, yeah, here. And we are going to, I should go get my water bottle. I've been slacking on that and it really makes a difference. So let me activate all my colors. It really, really, truly helps. And I've been slacking on that because that's been in my little grow room where I grow my seedlings for my garden. Okay, so we're going to take, let me just, I don't like that brush. For this per se, what are we gonna use for this? I'm gonna use this one. I'm going to switch it up just for this kind of dabbing. It's gonna give a little bit more texture. The number 12 Sovereign Royal Nickel. I'm gonna use that just so it gives me a bit of texture. So I'm gonna drop down and I'm gonna kind of just do like a, oh, that's a little bit too heavy. Dabbing with that paint. So you want it pretty diluted, but you still want quite a bit of color. And we can go through, like that's pretty intense, but we can go and add some water to it. And so, you know, we have like this light coming here and we want to keep some light in the middle as well. So I think I'm going to kind of keep it lighter kind of in this area. I kind of, or whatever, but anyways, we're just going to dab down some color because we're going to add a few different layers of this, like of purple and darker colors. I think I'm going to just leave it like that. And you can play around with how much water you have on there and how much paint you have on there. You can play around with that and get different, you know, then it gives that multi-dimensional look. I got a tickle in my throat. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm liking that. I like that. I like that a lot. And so I do want to add in a little bit of orange. Purple and orange are complementary colors. And I really want to add in a little bit of that. Not a whole big bunch, but just a little bit to add in. Just that kind of like, I don't know. Like I just have this vibe that I want to add in some orange. So I'm going to take the vermilion orange. And I'm going to get my paintbrush pretty wet and add, I've already activated my paint. So I'm going to get it pretty wet. I'm going to add some pretty strong pigment. And I just want to do a few little dabs of this. So you don't want to go too crazy because you don't want it to turn muddy, you know, but I want something else in there. And we're going to keep working with that. So we'll let that be and we'll let that dry now. And then we're going to start to work on our second layer of the petals. So when we're doing the petals and the second layer, we want to keep in mind that we want there to be highlights in the petals so that we see the dimension in them. We don't want them to be flat. And that's the whole idea behind layering and using more pigment and less pigment and all that stuff. So we're going to start over here with this yellow petal. Everyone can see that good. And so I'm actually just going to flip this around so it's easier for me to do. And it will be easier for you to do as well if you kind of can paint either away from you or towards you, but this is going to be towards me. So we're going to go in with the yellow orange and we're going to go a bit deeper with that. We're going to add quite a bit of pigment to our brush and we're going to want to leave, I'm going to say, the tip of these petals kind of, you know, a little bit more like we're going to leave that light. So I'm actually going to go on with this one and I'm going to start with wet on dry. So we get like a really intense color and we're going to manipulate it with a wet brush after. So we're going to drop that in there. And this, I mean, this could be a little bit different than how I did the very first sunflower because I always just kind of go with how I feel. So anyway, so I'm leaving that lightness there. Do you see? And so what I did is I put that color down and then I went in with a wet, clean brush, dabbed it off a bit, and then I dragged it around and softened it. And then I left that yellow orange in the corner here dry and bright. So we're going to leave it at that. Then we're going to work on our next petal, not the one right beside it. We're going to skip one because this is going to be wet and we don't want it to bleed into the next one. So we're going to work on this purple one. This one has a little something going on in it, like here. I don't know if that's just from my cat sitting on it. Who knows? But there's like a little imperfection. Doesn't matter. So I've got this petal kind of flipped over in a couple different spots. So it's kind of a unique, wonky one. But we're going to go in now with the violet. Cat's not, he finally went to lay down. I don't want to bug him. This 816 violet here. So we're going to go in with that. And we are going to, same thing we did on the other one. We're going to go wet on dry. And we are going to manipulate it after we get the color down. We're going to get that clean brush again. So we're going to use that technique quite a bit here. So we're going to go in, and of course we're going to have that shadow coming from or coming underneath of where these petals flip over. So I'm going to clean off my brush pretty good. Doesn't need to be 100%. And then I'm going to drag that color around. Oh, by the way, you guys, I'm back to my number 8 Aqua Elite. Clean off your brush. Beauty. I'm leaving kind of down here where these droplets are. I'm leaving that free of any more purple. And then in the middle here, same kind of thing. I'm going to go in though, and I'm just going to add a bit more purple around the edge here at the base. And then I'm going to wet my brush and I'm going to move it up a bit as well. And manipulate it like that. Like, look at how pretty that looks already. Same kind of thing we did with the leaf over here. We can go in and we can add those little lines to, you know, show that we are still working on the same, like that those are part of the petal that we're working on. Again, we can dilute that a bit. It's just going to add that kind of outline edge look. Perfect. That's good enough. That looks really good already. That's still a bit damp. This one's dry. Okay, so I'm going to move this around. Sorry, you guys. I just can't paint all wonky and out of control. So I have to move it around. So I'm going to be working on these petals over here because this leaf is dry. If the leaf wasn't dry, I wouldn't be working on it because I don't want these colors to totally just bleed like crazy into each other. So we're going to be going over with this one here. And so we're going to do that same one with that yellow orange. I really, truly loved how that looked. That worked out good. Actually, no. Like a lemon. Okay, let's go with the straight yellow. Straight yellow. Whoops. I'm like showing myself straight yellow. So we're going to go in with like loads of pigment on the brush. Same kind of thing that we were doing. Again, leaving out some brightness at the top here. So we don't want it to all be one flat color. And again, there's going to be that shadow coming underneath where the petal flips over. And we're going to just work that up like that. Clean our brush off. And then manipulate that color with that wet brush. And less is more because we can do more layers to add more depth, more dimension. Right now, we're just on our second pass through. So just be mindful of how much color you're using. I mean, you can go crazy and use as much as you want. But again, if you add too much off the get-go, then you don't have a lot of room to continue to work with it. So we're going to go in with this next purple one. I think we're just going to have fun with that purple one. And we're going to use that straight purple that we used in the center. And we're going to have fun with that. Actually, maybe we'll do this one here, purple. Okay, this one we're going to... Sorry, I just don't want it to be like two colors back to back. Like I don't want this to be a regular purple and a regular purple. Like I want them to be all over. So that's why I'm going to switch this one up. I'm going to use the violet on this one as well. And then this one in the middle can be the purple. We can work with that. So, oop, I got that pretty dark, but that's okay. That gives a really cool look with how my brush is. And then, yeah, I can go in there again and just manipulate that color. So that's my favorite thing about watercolor paints is that they're just so fun to work with. Well, that's pretty cool. So we'll leave that one at that as well. Then we've got this orange one here in the center. This leaf is dry as well. So we can get working on that one. And we're going to go in with that vermilion. The cat was sitting on this when I told you guys that. So I'm going to show you. The vermilion orange is this beautiful, bright, intense one. We're going to use that. For this orange one. So we're going to go in. Same thing we've been doing. Wet on dry, you guys. And again, we're putting it down. And then we will manipulate that color with a clean wet brush. Awesome. That's looking really pretty so far. I'm liking that I'm doing different colors. I don't know. It's just something that's kind of fun and just a little bit different. I needed something different. I need bright colors. We keep getting snow here in Saskatchewan. Okay, this one we're going to go with that bright lemony yellow. Well, yeah, lemon yellow. We're going to go on that one. Bright, bright. And same. Ooh, this one's touching this one. So just be careful. You don't want it to bleed too much, but there can be a little bit of bleeding. Not a problem. You just don't want things to get muddy. So this orange is still a little bit wet. So I'm just being mindful of what I'm doing over there. Close to that orange petal. Awesome. Fun. Those look so pretty so far. Okay, and we are back over here and we're dry. So here in this one, we've got, we could go orange. We could go, let's go scarlet maybe. Scarlet is a pretty orangey red, almost like a poppy. Can you guys see that? Yeah, almost like a poppy red. You guys can see that one there. Okay, whoop. That might be better. Number 809, we're going to do that on this one here. So again, drop the color down. Bring it up. We got a petal flipped over. And manipulate it and dilute it with that beauty. Beauty. That is fun. I'm just going to put a little bit more pigment down there. Because why not? So also in this little hole down here, we can add that pigment of that petal. We just go straight up heavy because it would be dark because of shadow. So we're just going to go heavy in there. We may go over it one more time. I'm going to take a little bit of that, just go over there one more time, and then soften. Whoop. Perfect. I can take just a little outline there. Tiny little bit. All right, so far so good. Then here on this one, what do we want to do on this one in here? I think we're going to go with the yellow orange. Maybe yellow orange mixed with maybe actually just straight orange. Let's go straight up orange on this one. There's the orange, you guys. Straight orange. 806 is what it is. So we're going to use that on this one in here. So we're just dropping that down. Again, keeping that shadow coming from underneath that petal. And then, yeah, moving it around, leaving that highlight in the center, like leaving some highlight in the petal somewhere, because that's what's going to give the look of dimension. And where you leave it doesn't matter totally. I mean, we're just having fun. I mean, the more skilled you get, it's like, okay, the light is hitting here. Well, then all the light should be in these areas. Well, we're not going to mess around and be too crazy about that. We just want to really have a good time. Okay, so in here, this one, we're going to go with that purple this time. So that's the straight purple. I'll show you guys again. That straight purple. I probably won't pick this up too many more times, but you guys are getting the understanding of what we're doing here. Okay. Cleaning off my brush and pulling that around. Look at how pretty that looks. I'm just going to leave it like that. I like the kind of interesting look there going on. Okay, I will take a little bit of purple to just kind of do the outside of those petals. And then we can soften them with a little bit of a wet brush. Just to soften them so they're not so intense. Awesome. Okay, so our next layer, our next petal is going to be this one over here. And I love the idea of using that bright orange again. Maybe that bright orange with lemon yellow to combine together. Let's see what that brings us. Let's go for it. So pretty. Ooh, I'm loving the bright colors, you guys. I love them when they start to get intense. When you first start, it's like, oh, they kind of look a little bit boring. But as you get going, it's like, ooh, yeah, those are looking really good. Perfection. Okay, and let's go back with this one with the scarlet. All right, you guys, here's my time to pop in and check how you guys are all doing. If you guys are enjoying this video, could you please give me a like? And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, well, definitely give me a subscribe so you don't miss out on any more of my tutorials when they come available, and so that you can hang out with us and enjoy all the good times that we're gonna have. So I'd love it if you guys did that. My goal for March was to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm a couple hundred shy of that, which is no big deal. I got 2 weeks yet, so hopefully that'll come. I wanted to record 2 parts before I actually put this out on the internet, because then if people wanted to keep going, they could move into part 2, and then I will record the other 2 hopefully very soon. I've been very busy, so. Anyways, you guys, that is looking pretty great. I don't know if I want to continue on at this present moment because I feel maybe it'll be too much. What am I thinking? You know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll finish up the leaves with one last layer, and I'll finish up the middle section, and then we'll finish up the petals in part 3 of painting, because we'll be going in and doing lots of depth and dimension. So, okay, I answered my own problem. So let's finish off the leaves today because they're already looking really, really great. But what I want to do is go in and add that real deep depth in these little nooks and crannies, as I've been saying. I just want to add a little bit more depth in there. And then otherwise I think it's like looking really, really good. And then go in on here and finish up the center with adding just multi colors in there with more purple and then maybe some darker colors and whatever else. So let's get to that, you guys. So I'm going to go wet on dry, and we're going to use that dark green and actually I'm going to go with olive brown on that. So we're going to mix these 2 together. The dark green. Can you guys see me? Dark green and the olive brown together. We're going to mix those 2 together like until you get the color you want, which is, I can't ever say exactly how much, but almost half and half. All right. I just got to spin us around a bit. So we're just going to go in there. You could add some black. I think the black might just be a bit too much. And so we're going wet on dry, just the same technique we just did with our petals, so that we can just move this paint around with our brush after. So we can just get in there. I freaking love this brush. It's so beautiful. All right, so we got that drop down, and now we're just going to go and just really blend her up with our brush that is clean-ish. And you don't want to wait too long for this to start drying. You kind of want to get in there and start to move it pretty quickly. Ooh, see, that's going to look so good. Ooh, that was a bit too wet. That's okay. If you have too much water on your brush, you're going to start to get puddles and then it'll dry a bit wonky, which you don't want. So if you do find you're getting too much water, you can dry your brush off. I like to use a little bit, but dry it off quite a bit and then you can go in and start to pick up those puddles a bit. Oh yeah, that looks good. I think that's just like, I got to go in with this a little bit in here. Got a bit too light with too much water. So I'm just dabbing down some color. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. I love that. That's enough. That's where it's like, okay, Krista, that's more than enough paint. You're golden. That's enough color. That's going to dry like nice and, you know, multi-dimensional. We got lots of depth in there. So now we're going to do the same thing on this one. I got to spin us around again. And we're going to go with that darker color. So that's the dark green mixed with the olive brown. About half and half. Ooh, I got a lot of paint going on here. Maybe Okay, yep. Brilliant. Okay, that's enough of that. And then we're going in with our brush that's wet and we're just, again, just the same as we did with those petals. We're going to move it around. Just whatever feels good. You know, you want to keep lots of dimension. So you don't want to overwork it and over move it because you want to keep that lightness around the edge. I think that looks pretty. So I also think we could go maybe underneath here a teeny bit and add a little bit more shadow. I think that looks good. I might have overworked that. Perfect. I think that looks great. I mean, I have a little overlap going on here because I just kind of got in there, but that's no problem. We're going to finish up our petals and it'll be all good. So we got those. The leaves are totally done now. Like that's all we're doing for color. The rest of the detail we put in with the pen and the ink. So now we're going to finish off our center. And I'm going to add in a little bit of actually yellow too as well. So I'm just going to add a few. Ooh, I want to go with back to my number 12, you guys. Sorry, I've not been great at the switch over. And so I'm just going to put a few of those in there. Where I want to keep some of that brightness. Ooh, I think that's going to look good. I'm just dabbing her down. So now I want to go in with that violet to add some real good. Ooh, that's depth, all right. So we're just going to go dab that down because in the center of a sunflower that is insane texture, as I said before, it's like millions of tiny little flowers in there. That's what makes the sunflower seeds. So we're just dabbing that in there. Lots of pigment down in these areas where it would be dark. Kind of up and around. And that's okay if they like kind of go into the... We may even do a quick finish with the color in here once we're done our petals. But yeah, you guys, that's looking so pretty already. I love that. And you can kind of go and put the odd violet one just closer to where it's brighter. And this is going to be finishing this off for the most part. At the end, we might have to do a couple little tweaks and touch-ups, but that's okay. So the last thing we're going to do, we're going to totally get that dry in there. Well, pretty dry. And we're actually going to go in crazy. I know. We're going to go in with some black. I know, it's crazy. Black is intimidating to people and it can make a big mess, but we're going to give it a whirl and we're only going to stick to, yep, it's okay. We're only going to stick to these Yeah, it's going to bleed a bit. Yeah. These parts where it's going to be really shadowy, we don't want it all over. And so we're going to go in here. Oh, that's pretty. I think that looks good. I think I might take no, Krista, no. Actually, yes. A little bit of that purple, the original purple that we started with. And I just want to put down a couple intense dabs of that. Or it's just like heavy pigment, heavy paint. I'm going to dry that up. I'm just going to, yeah. I like that. I think I almost want to put like a dab of blue in there or something. Something is calling me here. I don't know. Okay. Maybe some of that vermilion orange a little bit more intensively. Just a few dots. Like this is the fun part about this part is we can just really work whatever colors in there to get the look that really is like, oh, yes, this is what I want. Yep. I like that. I think I am going to throw a little bit of blue in there though. I don't know. I just want to. I think it might be crazy, but I want to do it. Or whoopsies. Or do we go with this like indigo? That's kind of a cool color. Yeah, let's go with indigo for one last little dabby dab in there. It's a bluey black. So I think it'll kind of, maybe I should wait till the last. Oh, let's throw a couple down. Yep. Oh, it looks so good. I love that. Okay. We're going to leave that where it's at, you guys. So I know we're having a really good time, but that is where we're going to wrap up part 2 because these petals is all, when we get to the petals, we're going to work them until we feel they're perfect. So that could be a whole, that's an entire video on in itself, I think, because sometimes we need to, it just takes a while. There's no real plan. We just go with the feeling of it. So I'm going to leave it at that, you guys. Okay. I know I'm leaving you on the cusp of things because it's all really starting to look really pretty already. But I don't want us to get overwhelmed. And I think sometimes, even for myself, when I get to this point, I start working and then I just can't help myself. And then sometimes I overwork the entire painting. So I think this is a good place for me to stop for part 2. And then when we get on to part 3, we will really play with those petals. I think we'll have a lot of fun with those. So we're definitely going to just wrap it up here. So we've got the leaves finished. And we have the center finished. We may, in the very end, add a little, you know, might have to add a bit of paint here, a bit of paint there. But really what I'll be doing is finishing everything off with the detail with the pen and the ink. So I think we're probably going to be perfect where we're at. But once the petals are done, we'll be able to see the whole painting and be able to decide if we need to add a couple more dabs here or maybe a little bit more depth into the leaves. But for now, I think it's great. If we do any more, it's going to get crazy. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning into my channel and checking out what I am up to. I have been very busy lately, so I've been trying to carve out time to be able to paint, but it just seems like everything is full steam ahead at this point. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to continue to try to get out one tutorial a week or at least one short a week that is inspiring for you guys to keep you guys engaged and seeing what I'm up to. So if you guys like the video and you enjoy what I'm up to, please give me a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to my channel, all that good stuff, and then you won't miss anything that's going on. And if, again, as I've said, if you don't like the video, that's cool, and you want to give me a thumbs down, totally cool. I accept that 100%. But if you don't mind just letting me know why that is, the only reason I ask of that is just because then it helps me to improve what I'm doing. So yeah, I would love that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my second part of the sunflower. I will have parts 3 and if need be parts 4 coming to you guys very soon, but I wanted to make sure I had 2 to get out to you guys back to back so you guys could just enjoy and have some fun. So we'll check you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.